Jai Shri Ram to all of you. I'm very happy that this Indoi Samudaya has started this Chennai Lead Festival, and I believe this is the 4th edition, but it has already established its reputation. It is leaving its marks on the literary and artistic consciousness of our people. This time is very precious, very unique for our country. It's the beginning of a new age, new yuga, as we know, when Bharat has forsaken its old an identity which has been created through a millennia of subjugation and colonization, and it is rediscovering itself with pride in its heritage in the past, taking inspiration from our ancient wisdom, eternal Adhyatma, and is moving forward to play its role, which is the destiny of our country, Bharat. And the destiny is to rise and rise for the good of the world. I was told that the theme of this literary festival is cultural renaissance, and this Viksit Bharat, developed Bharat. A commitment that we have given to ourselves that in the next less than a quarter of a century, by the time our country, we all celebrate centenary of our independence, Bharat will be what it is destined to be, the leader of the world for the good of the world. This new journey is certainly, we know it is not going to be an easy and a smooth journey. We have to confront and overcome many challenges which have been before us, with us for all these years. Shaking them off will be a challenge, which I am sure which we will do it. The country, we know it is today, it is at the cusp of a transformation, a revolutionary transformation. A country which was at the margin of world consciousness, it is at the center of it today. Till about a decade ago, our country was known to be a populous country, but that's all. When we tried to speak, there were not many listeners. And today, when Bharat speaks, the world listens and listens with attention. In every field, in the field of economy, we know, from 11th, we have come to the 5th largest and poised soon to be the 3rd. In the field of science and technology, we are among the top 3 in the world. When it comes to the digital public infrastructure, perhaps we are the best, and the world looks at us with envy at this miracle that a country, such a large and populous country with so much of a problem, how could it take on the digital revolution that it has reached the remotest corner of the country in remote villages. And today we have the distinction of a country with the largest digital per day transaction happening. It is happening in this. Till about a decade ago, scholars, experts, economists across the world used to say, whenever they talked about India and talked about India only marginally, as a problem, India as a problem. They always looked upon this country with a patronizing attitude, at times with a sense of pity. We know people believed that India would never be an economic power. India would never be a power to reckon with. I am tempted rather to quote Lee Kuan Yew, the great man who built Singapore, who turned a fishing hamlet into the world top-class city-state. A great visionary, a strategist. He had something to say about India. When we became independent, the whole of Asia and in fact whole of Africa, the country which were getting decolonized, they looked at India with a lot of expectation. How India would carve its way into the future, that would shape and influence the other countries as well. But when India did not, it started stuttering rather than marching forward. It started drifting rather than having a sense of direction and destiny. Then increasingly the world started losing its interest. And Lee Kuan Yew, who was a keen observer of India, who became Singapore Prime Minister by about 58 or so, he came and met. It was the time, emergency time. And he thought that here is a Prime Minister who could change India, who can transform India. He came and met the Prime Minister, said, "Madam Prime Minister, you are bold. You have the courage to impose emergency on such a large and diverse country. You can take bold decisions. You are spending 1 rupee while you are earning 25 paise. It is not sustainable. You start spending before you earn. India will not grow like this. You must take bold policy decisions." And then what he said, he was told, was, "No, Mr. Prime Minister, this is how India will be run." And then he said, if a bold leader, like such a strong Prime Minister, could not take a bold decision, he was not bold enough to take a correct decision for this country, India will never be an economic power. And the world started looking at India's growth story with a pessimistic outlook. And some of the economists started calling it, India will grow at the Hindu rate of growth. Hindu rate of growth became a term, a very disparaging, disrespectful. Now, today India is the fastest growing economy in the world. So, we are. A new India is emerging, new Bharat is emerging on the world scale, on the world stage. Now this Bharat cannot just grow materially, cannot just grow militarily. It has to grow the way it should grow, the way that defines this country, Bharat. And Bharat, we know, is the civilizational evolution. It doesn't fit into the European or Western definition of a political state, because at no point of time there was a ruler who ruled over the whole country. Because Bharat was not built by ruler. All this I am telling in a literary festival primarily, because we must be conscious of it. We must be conscious of, because men and women of literature has a great responsibility. This Rashtra, it doesn't fit into the definition of nation as well. Those terms do not define. This Rashtra was built by our ancient great people of wisdom, our rishis. And that is why in our Veda says, Bhadram ikshant rishaya swaveda tapo diksham upanishedur tato rashtram balamo jastajatam. It is those rishis with Atmagyan. And what is Atmagyan? That we are all one. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The whole creation is a family. This revolutionary revelation happened several thousand years ago. And this is our heritage. And when Prime Minister of India puts Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam as a motto of G20, it is basically transmitting this, spreading this light to the rest of the world, that this is what we believe in. It is not a political slogan. So when such a Rashtra has emerged, and it has been eclipsed subsequently for about a millennia, it is re-emerging. It has to re-emerge with her values. And those values which have been pushed into the background for long, with the European Western thinking, with the European way of education, European value systems. Which are just antithetical to what we are. These have to be now reclaimed, re-energized, and spread to the world. Swami Vivekananda had a dream. He wanted a Bharat whose muscles are of iron, whose sinews are of steel, but whose heart and mind are compassionate Vedantic. Sri Aurobindo had a dream. On 15th of August 1947, he jotted his dream, and he said, the moment has come for Bharat now to spread the light to the rest of the world and save the world. Because the world has been facing existential conflicts, threats. And we have seen it. How people have been so selfish, how they have been so driven by mercantile interest, that even during COVID, when the whole entire humanity was affected, the advanced countries, when they developed the vaccines, how they looked at it as an opportunity to make more money. How they started hoarding those vaccines, more than their requirement, leaving the people, unfortunate one, the less fortunate one behind. It was at this point, it was Bharat, which thanks to our scientists, when we made the vaccine, we shared with 150 countries in the world. This is in the DNA of Bharat. Now, when this Bharat is emerging on the world scale, on the world stage, our people, our thought leaders, our writers, artists, painters, dancers, masters of our classical dance, they are all our heritage. They have a great responsibility. They have to be conscious of this fact that now, at this point of time, we have embarked on that phase of our history, the future history, where we cannot go the way we did in the past. Every day has to be a day of consciousness. What we are doing for making this country, making Bharat a great nation. And the challenge, one of the challenges that we have before us is the challenges which have been created largely during the colonial period and subsequent colonial outlook that pervaded our thinking, our academia, our administration, our governance, is division. We have divides here and there everywhere. We have created division along languages. We have created division along regions. We have created division along so-called races. Our country has been going through a kind of a social fission, and now the latest is about so-called, talking about caste. And these have been multiplying. The number of castes have multiplied manyfold. New castes have been coming. New tribes have been coming. There is no end to it. And if it continues, it's like a scales of a fish. If you keep removing the scales, each scale has its own identity, you can say so. But then in the process, the fish is lost. We cannot let that happen. All those forces, all those people, those who have tried to divide, and those who have flourished on dividing, they have to be defeated. Those forces have to be defeated. And when it comes to our cultural renaissance, this place, this land, Tamil Nadu, has been the spring well of Bharatiya culture. Be it great rishis, great siddhas, great kings, great rulers, since time immemorial, they were born on this holy, auspicious, holy soil. Our country, our Bharat, we know it has two sides, or you can call it two ends. Here is ocean, here is Himalaya. And these are the two sources from where the light emanates and illuminates the whole country. Eventually it is to illuminate the whole world. This place, which has been the fountainhead of our culture, our adhyatma, which has shaped the idea and identity of Bharat, this has undergone certain phases of confusion. In the last about 100 years, it has gone a little adrift, where some people have been trying to deny our past and create a new identity. Identity which is the antithesis of what Bharat is. an identity which is undoing of Bharat. Now how can? Now I was felicitated with two very beautiful gifts. One, Sri Rama's Pattabhisekam and his Paduka, and other ones is Ramlala. This place has been the Karma Bhumi of Sri Rama. Every place, every inch of this land has a story to tell about Sri Rama. And when we go to the ancient Tamil literature of Sangam period, see the stories. I am just a beginner. I'm just trying to learn something about the Sangam history, Sangam literature, and the ancient Tamil literature. But whatever I have seen is amazing. When going through Silpadikaram, you see the references of Sri Rama. At one point, when Kaniki and Kolan, when they are leaving Pumpuhar, they have left Pumpuhar, the seat of Pandyan king, the port city. The people were very sad. And there, the poet says, it's like Ayodhya, which was sad after Sri Ram and Mata Sita has left. Ayodhya, people of Ayodhya were so sad. Look at this presence of Sri Ram and Sri Ram's story. Numerous places, not once. Manimekalai mentions about how this Vanar Sena is building the Setu. Purnanuru, it mentions about when actually the poet who composed Purnanuru was gifted precious jewelry by the king, and those jewelries were being were taken away by his relatives and others, and they were wearing. And then the poet writes, these jewelries on those people looking like the same way when Ravan was taking Mata Sita and Sita has dropped jewelries and monkeys were wearing those jewelries. Look at the presence of Sri Rama's story here in our all ancient literature. Agnanuru, another Sangam literature book, it says, at the seashore, Sri Rama, when he was reciting Veda mantra, bird and bees were stand still to listen to his Vedic chanting. Sri Ram is everywhere. How can we deny? If we deny Sri Ram, we deny Bharat. We deny everything. There is nothing left. It's time for us to be proud of our heritage. And it's not difficult, because all those who have tried to deny it are like, this a smoke screen. There is no solid foundation, there is no solid argument. There is no basis for it. And when we have something like a smoke screen or a dust, it can be blown off, it can be dusted off. Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, of course he talks about Atman. He says, Dhume na vriyato vahni, dhume na vriyate vahni, yatha darso malenacha, yatha unvena avrito garbha tatha tenedam avritam. Like fire is covered by smoke, like mirror is covered with dust, fetus is covered with orb. Remove this. Remove a smoke, fire emerges. Dust off the dust, mirror is there, bright. The life comes out of the whole life. There is a life. This smoke screen and dust which has been created in last about a century, it has no strength, it has no basis. It can be easily blown off, and their time has come to blow. And when we're talking about Viksit Bharat, is nothing but Ramarajya, nothing else. Viksit Bharat is nothing else but Ramarajya. In fact, this was the thinking, the dream of our founding fathers of Constitution. That is why one of the first paintings in our Constitution is of Sri Rama Pattabhisekam. It was there in the original Constitution. Unfortunately, this has been removed. Because they wanted, there is no discrimination. For Ramarajya, in Ramarajya, social justice is a way of life, is not a political slogan. And you cannot achieve social justice by political slogan or by politics alone. There has to be a social transformation. And it has to be, and for us, all the more so, deriving inspiration from our legends, our proud heritage. So, men and women of literature, and this place, Chennai, has been a seat of great writers, great thinkers, great artists, great classical dancers, great philosophers. All these people, you are like Margdarshak, you are like the one who saw the way. Society looks at you with a lot of expectation. At this point of time, you have a responsibility to show the way. Because later, the future will certainly ask a question, because after all, literature is the mirror of society. It reflects the aspirations, anxieties, the angst of people, who the people are, what kind of situations they were going through, they have gone through. Since it is a mirror of the society, and since society is under transformation, society is in a ferment, you have to catch the vibrations, the ferment. And you have to document it, you have to express it, you have to make it easier. You have to give words to the feeling of millions and millions of our people, our young people. Those who are looking with a lot of expectation and hope to build this country a great country. They are expecting a big change, a transformation. Their thought, their angst, anxieties, and aspirations, you have to give words. Because if you not, 50 years, 100 years down the line, when somebody will read literature of this age, they will say, when the whole transformation was happening, what was happening here? What kind of literature, who all were there who sincerely were reflecting the spirit of the age? We have a great responsibility. We owe it to our future, to our posterity, that we do justice to the present, the today. And I'm sure our people are capable, they are sensitive, and you are the strength of the country. I have been told since morning, this festival, several productive deliberations have happened, and it will go on for one more day tomorrow. I wish the remaining part of this festival all the very best. I also wish, and I'm sure, that the participants will go out energized, motivated, and with a sense of commitment to create that literature, to create the art which reflects the spirit of new emerging Bharat. Thank you very much for listening to me. Stay safe. Thank you. Jai Bharat.